Hey, everybody, welcome to another chapter of Discovering Creativity, their podcast. Today we have a special guest. We have Stephanie, and my name is Esteban Arroyo. And today we're going to have a really good interview about creativity and some other subjects. Stephanie, welcome. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much for having me. I'm doing well, thank you.
Well, of course, we already know a little bit about you because of internet and all the information that we can find there. But a lot of people who are gonna be watching and listening to this podcast doesn't know a lot of you. So we will like you to first meet you a little bit and to begin talking about yourself. So can you tell us about your professional life experience, or you can tell us about your life in general? Who is Stephanie Richards?
Well, thank you very much. My name is Stephanie. I live in Buffalo, New York, which is right outside of Niagara Falls. I've lived here for most of my life. However, I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
Um, Currently, I've had a varied career in business, and I have wound up um, in this place, which has been a compilation of all of my work experience, which is very interesting to me how I've wound up here. But I'm working for a startup um, part time. I work as an operations director for a small startup that makes cooling gear for the prevention of heat related illnesses like heat stroke. And then I also work part time as a small business advisor at
mhm.
the Small Business Development Center here at Buffalo State University, where I advise and guide clients and entrepreneurs on how to start their business and how to make their business a success.
Okay, that's so interesting. So you have a lot of different things going on right now in your life and different projects. I mean, that's great. That's something really, really good. Like yesterday, I had the opportunity to talk with Matt, who is another professional, and we were talking about the mind and how people can do a lot of things if they have like really clear their purposes and their goals. And sometimes we just have to do it. Like if you can imagine it, then you can do it. But first, you have to focus on yourself, focus on your mind, your thoughts, all your skills, and then put all together, and then
Yes.
just go ahead and take actions. So I like that you are doing a lot of different projects, and that's really good. So you were talking about helping small business and like advising them to grow
Mhm.
up. So the question is, what sparked your interest in helping small business? Like how this began?
Well, small business is really the heart of any community. They are the what keeps people engaged in their community, and I like being part of that. And I don't like being the front and center person where I get all the attention. I like playing in the background and supporting people. And I find that I thrive being a coach or an advisor to someone who wants to do great things. And
Right.
so I enjoy being their support system and providing guidance and different tactics and approaches to helping them succeed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like in all these small business or I mean that's something like really cool. I haven't heard about that. About to be in the background, like you said, like you don't like to be like the main focus and everybody is like, hey, look, Stephanie, you're like just at the backstage, but
Yes,
like everything that is going on, you
yes,
was part of that. Maybe not all everybody knows about this, but like yourself, um like achievement, it's that you are looking the results and you feel satisfied, right? But
yes,
you don't need to be like, hey, congratulations. No, you know what you done, and that's great.
exactly. Yeah, and I think that's what I like about being the operations manager
Uh-huh.
of the startup company because I get to coordinate and make sure every all the moving pieces are moving accordingly to grow and build the business and make the business a success. I like seeing all of the different pieces and how they all come together, and I like organizing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have another question about like now, the present. Like we know that technology has improved a lot in different and so many ways. And sometimes business are afraid to change. So like there are a lot of huge companies and business that they don't like to change the methods or like to hire new personnel, talking about the emotional areas and about all of this, because at the end some companies does not understand that if the worker is not feeling good in here and in here, he will not be able to perform his best way in the company. But if you help your worker to be in a healthy way in his her heart or in his her mind, he will produce a lot more and he will be like a really good worker. So like right now, because of technology, I think there are so many small business or big business or industries that they use the internet but like in a wrong way. Like they don't think they need to hire somebody specialized on that area because they think that they can cover that area with the technology. So have
Mm,
you faced some of this in your personal life or one of these obstacles?
I sure have. Yes. Prior to my work with the startup and with the Small Business Development Center, I worked for a health insurance company, and I worked as a product manager for that health insurance company. And I was with them for 11 years. And during of those 11 years, 3 of them were in COVID.
Oh.
And so prior to COVID, we worked at home maybe once a week or twice a month. Um, and then after, obviously during COVID and even a little bit after, we were allowed to work from home all the time, 100%. And it was really, at first, I thought, this is great. I love working from home. I got so much done at home and at work, and I felt really focused. But in the same time, I was becoming more and more alienated from my coworkers and from management, from my boss. And it really took an emotional toll on me that I never expected. And so, yes, the internet and technology makes things happen well. But I found that the teaming and the interpersonal relations and the face to face being with people really is really bad for the people. For people, I really think it's important to maintain human connection
Mhm.
personally. Um, it's just, I think it has a very big impact on the mental space and the human spirit. So it does, like I said, the internet and technology solve a lot of problems, but they don't solve all of the problems.
Yeah, I personally agree with you. Like, I don't know, like something that came to my mind right now is I don't know if you have seen this movie for children named Big Heroes with this robot named Baymax. That he's like a personal doctor and he's just like take the medicine and they're there and that's it. Like
Yeah.
there's not a connection there. The patient will not feel like that kind of company or connection with the emotions with the other person. So I personally agree with what you said. And talking about all this about the obstacles, there are some things that we read on your on your profile on the website that said that you also like to help people to increase their creativity, and I think that's something really cool because like I'm a graphic designer. So
Mhm.
sometimes, creativity is part of, creativity is everywhere. But talking about graphic designs and graphics and paints and drawings and all of these things, sometimes We have like clients or people who are like, okay, you need to be more creative. But sometimes in the industries, or like when you're an engineer or when you work on a really serious business and they ask you to be creative, like sometimes you have to face that there's a line. So like they want you to be creative, but just to this point. You can't be more creative. So like what do you do in those cases?
That's such a great comment. It's very true. They only want so much, and it really, I think it really puts a dampener on the human spirit
Uh-huh.
when you're asked to be creative, but only within a certain paradigm, right? And for someone who is trained in creativity, you know the opportunity there is to be creative, right? But when you have to create within constraints, it's very, very difficult, because you're being creative according to somebody else's rules. And when there are rules involved, you're dismissing the actual problem that's at hand. And you're really not given the opportunity to really solve the problem. You are just solving the problem according to somebody else's guidelines. So yeah, I've been there. It's very challenging.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like really difficult because it's like you have your hands tied and you have to do a bunch of stuff, but with a few resources, just with some tools, not with all the capacity that you have. Because when they give you the freedom to do a bunch of stuff, you will you will be able to do a bunch of stuff, and now you have to face the other reality, which you have to select, take decisions, discard, accept, but that's like the process. But
Yeah,
when you can't do that, you're like in a small box.
yeah,
So what can you do there?
right. It's very challenging.
Yeah. So creativity, as we are talking about, it's a huge subject. We could speak about creativity for hours, even days, actually, and we can speak about a bunch of different branches and stuff about it. So, like, let's have here a example. Let's say I'm a business owner and I hire Stephanie Richards to come to my company and help my company to be more creative. What will you do? Like, this is like a general question, and I know that you can't tell me like all your work in 10 minutes, I know. But like, can you share with us a summary about like what's your process, or you can tell us a story about how you help a certain company to be more creative?
So if I was to come into a company and teach, people to be more creative, I would first assess where people are,
Okay.
because it's important to understand how people are creative. Not everybody thinks graphically. Some people are creative through body movement, for example, dance or walking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some people need to work together in order to solve problems. So it's really important to assess the culture and to meet people where they are on the team. It's also important to infuse play into a team. I don't think that play is done nearly enough. I think a lot of organizations are very serious and don't allow for playtime. And I think playtime allows for the creativity to overflow, and that you're creating different neuro connections in the brain. And by allowing people to play together, you're building not just a team, but you're also building connections, um, and ideas to further and build up the company and grow the company. So there's so many, like you said earlier, there's so many facets to creativity. And when you apply creativity in an organizational capacity, I see the opportunities are endless. And so just taking baby steps to building an effective team, and allowing for collaboration and allowing for a safe space to share ideas and um, to solve problems and be innovative is really key. Hi, Hector.
I wanted to interrupt just to say hello because I'm so
It's great
sorry
to
that I
see
couldn't
you.
make it. I'm just running on my way. I'm on my way to my classroom.
That's okay. It's great to see you. Thank you
Nice
for
to see you too.
organizing this.
Thank you for participating.
Of
All the
course.
best.
Thank you. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that was nice.
Yes.
Okay, so something that caught my attention about what you were saying is you mentioned culture, and I mean that's a really important subject, and I think sometimes we just go straight and we ignore the culture subject, but I mean that's an important subject to face whenever we're talking about creativity or whenever we're talking about improving. Like for example, you say you live in the U.S., I live in Mexico, and cultures are different, and maybe you can have some tools and some uh, abilities that you can share and you can put in work on the US, but maybe it will have to be different in Mexico because of the culture.
Mhm.
So can you share, do you have any story about when you have ever to avoid or to defeat an obstacle talking about the culture subject? Do you have any experience in here?
Well, something that's very minor, but in my world it's very important, is the respect for time, or the approach to the concept of time. And what I mean by that is, people see I'm a prompt person. I I plan things out, and when there's a meeting that I have to be at, I'm there before the meeting starts.
Okay.
I plan my day around meetings so that I make sure that I am where I need to be to meet whoever, whether it's a friend for dinner or a business meeting. And some people have a different approach, and other cultures have a different relationship with time, where they would much rather spend more time with a family member and be late for a meeting than to cut off time with a family member to make a meeting
Right.
um, on time. So for me, it requires forgiveness. It requires awareness and patience as well. So because that carries on into the creative process as well, is the forgiveness, the awareness, and the allowance of ideas, and no judgment. All of the rules of having a successfully creative workspace.
Yeah, I mean that's really interesting, and I think that's really important also to be aware of, because like you said, and I shared this idea with you. Sometimes we just have to improve first of all ourselves in so many different ways to be able to improve our creativity, because sometimes creativity it's locked, or we have this creativity like on a furniture so far away from us, because we are dealing with a lot of things here and here. Maybe we are stressed, maybe we have problems with our partner, with our friends, with family, at work. Maybe we don't feel comfortable with ourselves talking about in an emotional way, in a physical way. So sometimes you need to focus on yourself first of all, and like to clean all that mess up, because we know that we can't do our best if we are not in our best moment. Of
Mhm.
course, if you can only give your 10% and you give your 10% in that moment, you gave your 100%, because that was everything you could give,
Right,
and you did it.
right,
But sometimes if you improve that, you will be on a new situation where you can share not your 10%, you will be able to share your 100%, and in that moment you will be able to improve your creativity. So
Yes.
you work on this area about companies, industries, working team, leadership. But what about the personal way? Like, I don't know if you also work like on a personal treatment, like people have meetings with you, like on a personal way, one by one, to talk about these subjects. Like, if I want to talk with you, Stephanie Richards, uh, because I want to improve my creativity, do you also do that kind of advising?
Coaching, like creativity coaching.
Creativity coaching. Okay,
Um,
that's the
yeah, I do it implicitly.
okay.
I don't. Yeah, I do it implicitly. So when people or friends, family come to me seeking advice, I always use, brainstorming techniques without calling it brainstorming.
Uh-huh.
It's divergent thinking. It's looking at problems from a different angle or at different angles. And, I hope that through the what I do, they adopt some of the thinking and the approaches that I use, but I don't uh, use them explicitly and tell them this is what I'm doing, this is how you use it, and this is what you should consider doing in the future.
Okay, so now I have another question, and it's about the age. Like, you have worked with a lot of people from different cultures and different ideas, opinions, maybe even different religions. But my question is about age. Like, have you ever faced some problems with the age? Like, is this just something that social media it's publishing, or is this a reality that young people it's even more creative than adult people, or the other way, adult people it's even more creative because they have experienced a lot of more stuff than young people? Like, what's your opinion about all of this?
Well, I think that the young people have a lot more tools available for them today that
Hmm.
allow them to be creative. And the older generation is slowly adopting those tools and to be creative. And I think that the um, the way we are and the where we are in this world allows people to be more creative. And so I think sometimes the older generation, they possibly don't think they have permission to be creative. And the
Oh.
younger generation, because of the way they've grown up and they see, social media and the creativity that is out there, that they are given permission to be creative and they're given the tools to be very creative, right? Everything is free. Um, it doesn't require, special equipment to be a photographer, to be a videographer, to try different things. There's all kinds of classes available online and in person. And I think that the change in our society in moving towards that, I think that if the older generation had the same tools available to them that the younger generation has available, that I think everybody would be as equally creative. And if everybody was given the permissions to feel like they can be creative, everybody would be, focused on what gives them creativity energy, what gives them the energy to solve problems and be creative and do different things to challenge themselves.
Wow, that's so true. I haven't seen it since that on that point of view, and I think that's so much true. Like, I mean, young people have like this, I don't know if call it cliche or stigma, or I don't know how to call it. Like, if you are young, you must be creative. Hey, if you are on your 20s, on your 15s, and you don't consider yourself as a creative person, there's something wrong with you. Like, you need to fix
Mm.
that. And if you're an adult, sometimes society will tell you, hey, come on, you need to grow up. Creativity is for young people. You have to just complete the task, and that's all. I mean, that's something that society has right now, and that's so true. So yeah, I shared that idea with you. Just to close this interview, I have a last question, and it's about improving creativity in a personal way. Like graphic designers, so much people tell us that if you want to improve your creativity, you can use art to help you. Like if you like to play an instrument, if you play the guitar, like a lot, you will improve your creativity. If you
Mhm.
like drawing, if you draw a lot, you will improve your creativity. And sometimes a lot of artists or a lot of people who use art as a way of expression, they reach the point where they can't improve or move on that area because, as we were talking earlier, because of stress, because of problems, because of emotions. So maybe, oh, I don't feel good enough to draw today, so I couldn't improve my creativity today. So like, is this a reality? Like if you use art or these kind of activities to improve your creativity, would you be able to do it, or is different as you as a professional?
Oh no, I think it's in my personal opinion, what applies to me is that I'm more creative when I play.
Okay.
So I love playing tennis,
Oh.
and I've recently taken up pickleball just to do something different and to test my abilities and my skills and do something different, let my brain work on something else. When I am in a funk, I get up and I walk, or I go to a park and I watch people, or I look at nature. Um, I'm active, and that's what gets my creative juices flowing again, is seeing things outside of me. I
Mm.
also love to cook, and so when I'm blocked, I like to try different recipes or different cooking techniques, because my brain is working on something else and it's not working on my problem. And so I am able to see, when I go back to my problem that I'm trying to be creative on, I have a different perspective on it. And so because my brain has been working on something else and not that particular project. So I think that it's different for everybody,
Mhm.
and what works for them. But for me, it's definitely play. I just need that. I need the body movement. I need my brain to be working on eye hand coordination, instead of just focusing on whatever issue
Okay.
there is. Yeah.
Wow. Love it. Love it. Yeah. I I think that's true. Sometimes we just have to help our mind with different and short and easy tasks, and that will help us to get outside of the box, like you said, or to remove that block that was in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Stephanie, thank you so much for your time. I had a great time. It was a pleasure to meet you and to
Fun
know
meeting you,
you.
Stefan.
And I will take all of this information in a personal way as a graphic designer, and I will take it home and I will try to help myself to improve my creativity. And I know that a lot of graphic designers will be also listening and watching this podcast, this chapter, and I know that it will help them a lot.
Awesome.
So, thank you so much.
Well,
I
it
had
was a
a
pleasure. Thank you very
Yeah,
much for
thank you
including
so
me. I
much.
appreciate it.
Well, it was a great experience, and thank you for everybody who's gonna be listening or watching to this material. And just continue looking for the next chapter on this podcast name, Discovering Creativity. Thank you so much.